has done some great things in his life. And just like you, he started right here in Lawrence. And he's going to talk with you about some really important choices he made in his life, the same choices you can make, and accomplish some of the great things like Mr. Abdoo has. He has been, let me read here, a city councilor. He has been a mayoral candidate, and he has also served in the Army National Guard and served his country, very important. And most recently, so exciting, and we can congratulate Mr. Abdoo, he has been selected, chosen by the governor of the state of Massachusetts, for a very important job with a very long title that he can talk to you a little bit more about, because I'm not sure I understand it, but you can describe all of the work that you get to do now as part of the Baker administration. So please, a nice round of applause for Mr. Abdoo.
So good morning. That was awesome. That was awesome. Well, I'm here, and I started out in life right where you are at. I came up and went to school at the Robert Frost School, and my principal was Mrs. Murphy. And I'll start you from the beginning, because those years sitting where you're sitting are still very vivid, very bright memories for me. And I think I'm standing here right now. I don't know why I'm standing here right now. I am standing here today, I believe, because of the experience and the education I got in the Lawrence Public Schools at the Robert Frost School. That's where it all started for me. And I could name you all of my teachers and Mrs. Murphy, the principal, and I don't believe I ever spent time outside of her office. So I think I was a good kid. But I guess I'll walk you through where I'm at and what I do now. I grew up and still live one house away from where I grew up. I was born by the Frost School, grew up in my neighborhood, went to the Frost School. I ended up going to Central Catholic for high school. And then I went on to college right down the road in Salem, Massachusetts, Salem State University. And I now am a father of 2 wonderful children. And I was almost late today because I couldn't get my 6th grader out the door. So I was home today. I'm usually at work by 6:30 in the morning. But this morning, because I'm here with you, my son said, "Can you get me to school?" So I did, and boy, was that a chore. So who here is a handful for their mom and dad getting out the door every morning? Wow, this is excellent. So try and be good. I tell Michael, I say, you got to go to bed earlier, because like you, he's got homework, right? And he's got baseball, and he's got soccer, and he does all these things. And then in the morning, it's tough to get him going. So Michael's a good kid, and I have a daughter, Elizabeth, and she's a great kid too. And what I do is I was recently appointed by Governor Baker. Our governor was just inaugurated, I guess, about 3 months ago. And he actually took his first inaugural event right here in Lawrence in the public schools. First thing he did was come here with his lieutenant governor and with Superintendent Riley and Mayor Rivera did an event right here in Lawrence. And it was a great opportunity for me because I was there, I got to see him, and you know, he asked me to be part of his team that day, and ultimately I ended up here in front of you as his chief of staff for all state buildings. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but like all the buildings this Commonwealth has and all of the land and everything we own, myself and our leadership team make work for the people of Massachusetts. And it is really cool. And I work in Boston in a very tall building right behind the State House. Have any of you been to the State House? Okay, I see a show of hands. Try and make every effort to get there. It's a beautiful building, full of history. It's just magnificent. So you should really try and get there when you can. Maybe mom and dad or brother or sister or a friend or a neighbor can take you this summer. And I'll tell you what, if you go, let your teachers and principal know, and I will try and set up a nice tour for you. I'm willing to do that, all right? So let me know. But it's a fabulous building. It's a great job. It's something, I'm 48 years old now. I just had my birthday. I'm 48 years old, and if you had asked me 42 years ago when I was in kindergarten or first grade where it would be, I would not have known. So you never know where life's going to take you, okay? I came up in Lawrence, and I was proud to be here. I loved being here, and I still love being here. I coach Little League. I have a son in Major League, which is 12 years and under, and I have a daughter that plays U14 softball. How many here play softball or baseball? Awesome. We play with you. We play with you. As a matter of fact, I think we are playing with Prospect Hill in the next, most of you probably are in the Prospect Hill League or Central, and we play games with you during the year. So it's cool stuff. I'm involved. I've always been involved as an adult with my city. And I want to tell you why. I want to now back the story up. So I'm a dad of 2 wonderful kids. I work for the governor, just got that job. But it all started right here. It started in the Lawrence Public Schools. It started with Mrs. Murphy, with Mrs. Reardon, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Trainer, my second grade teacher, and I'm telling you, I can go on because they made an impact in my life. And it was those years that I dreamed. At one time I wanted to be an astronomer. That's studying the stars. And then there was another point in my life where I remember I wanted to be a professional baseball player, right? And, as I got older, I had all these dreams. I wanted to do all these things. And along the way, my teachers in my church, I go to St. Patrick Church in Lawrence, they formed me, and they formed my opinions and my likes and what I wanted to do. And I went on to high school, still working hard, still getting I don't think I appreciated it at the time. I don't know that I was the best student, but looking back, Central Catholic, where I went to high school, my brothers had all gone to Lawrence High, and my sister went to vocational school, and I think my mom and dad thought I might have been a conduct issue. So they sent me in 8th grade to private school, Catholic school, because they thought that would be good for me, and I ended up going to Central Catholic. And the thing I got a good education at Central Catholic, but what I got was to work within the city. I started working community service and volunteer work. It was something I think at the time I did to get out of schoolwork, because I thought, oh, I don't have to be in a classroom. But actually, it became my classroom. And I ended up doing several things during my years in high school. And I look back, and it was volunteering with seniors, senior citizens, all our grandparents, our older folks. There's a place downtown called Mary Immaculate. And I spent a lot of weekdays during my sophomore and junior years, my second and third years of high school, doing that. And visiting with folks, making relationships with people that were very different from you. We're young. I was young. I still am young. These were people that were very different than me, and they were at a different place in life. And I learned to serve. I learned to give my time. And it was something that began something within me that continues today, and that's service to others and working. I ended up going to college, and college wasn't the best answer for me at that time. I went to college, went for a year. My mom and dad, I guess, made me, if you will. And I went and I had an all right first year in college, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to work. I wanted to make money. I got my license so I could drive a car, and I wanted a car. That was a priority that I think I needed to really think more about at that time. But what it did is it led me out of college for a short period of time, and I ended up joining the Army, National Guard, Army and then in the National Guard. And this continued that service because when I was in the Army, I got to do a lot of cool things. I went in as a medic, like a nurse, not quite as sophisticated or educated as a nurse, but I went in as a medic. And then I went back to college while I was in. I became an officer, and I got to drive tanks, which were really cool. It was a really cool experience. And this was the only time I was away from Lawrence, was this time away from college, in the Army, doing this, and then I came back. And when I came back, I got focused and I finished school. And that was the smartest thing I've done. I finished school. I realized that you can work really hard in a job, and I was doing a bunch of jobs, and I had a nice car, and I did all these things, but something was missing, and I wanted to do more. And so I stayed with it. I think I made my mom and dad happy. I went on my own free will back to school, finished school, paid for it myself, and I did it because I wanted to do it. I had kind of found what I wanted to do, and I knew I wanted an education, and I had begun doing volunteer work at the State House and in Boston, and I realized I liked serving people. I had already served people in high school, in nursing homes, in elderly visits. I had done a lot of work with my church, and I realized it was kind of all coming together for me. And looking back, all these experiences happened here, and it was a gift. It really was that period of my life, because it formed what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to finish school. I know I wanted to serve people. And I began my role in government, which I worked in state government for a while, and I won't bore you with that, but it was my form where I basically, like where you are in school, I was learning what I needed to know to do more. And I learned it through experience. And I had my college education at that point. But I kept working hard, and I kept looking for more, to do more. And it was just a really formative time in my life where I was in the National Guard. National Guard is like part-time military, but more so, it's serving you, it's serving the community. And there was a few, like when there's big snowstorms, this winter, they came and cleared our streets, the camouflage color trucks, the sand color trucks. And we have these cool big trucks, and we get to do cool things. And several years ago, probably when many of you were just being born, we had a big flood in Lawrence, and my National Guard unit got called out, and we came to Lawrence, which was really nice because I was stationed far away, and I got to come to my hometown and serve people. Excuse me. We had water down at the Spigot River that went for blocks, and it was a real mess. And we got to come in for a week and work with our police department here in Lawrence, our fire department, our Department of Public Works, the schools, and we got to help people. And that was one of the coolest things I've ever done, because that's what I was working towards, is service and helping. And I had, because of my determination of finishing school and pursuing what I wanted to pursue, which was service, I was in a position to come home and serve the people of my city that I love. And that was really cool. So I've retired. I did 17 years in the Army and National Guard. I had gone to work for the federal government, and I served for President Obama in administration of health care. It was long titled, but it doesn't matter. It was an organization that provides health care. And I did that for the federal government until this year, when Governor Baker had asked me to come and do the job I'm doing now, which is being like a landlord. I don't expect any of you to know what a landlord is, but someone who owns and maintains and manages properties. It's really cool because there's a lot of stuff in Massachusetts. We've got a lot of land, and for the time being, I get to manage that for the governor, myself and a lot of good people. So, who's got questions? I don't want to lose you. I don't want to bore you.
Was it Governor Charlie Baker?
Governor Charlie Baker, yes. Governor Patrick just retired. He chose not to run again, and Governor Charlie Baker replaced him.
I think I saw a video on YouTube of him going inside a school with his kids and talking about some stuff with the children in the schools.
It may have been here in Lawrence. He's been to our schools twice, but that's cool. That's cool. How about you? What's it like? So the question was, what's it like in the National Guard? I had a lot of great experiences, and it's like anything in life. It's a lot of different things you can choose to do. I went in at age 22 as a medic, and I got to learn a lot about taking care of people physically, people who get hurt, women who deliver babies. I was involved with that. I was involved with a lot of injuries. I never served in combat. I guess I'm kind of fortunate, because by the time war came, I had had 2 young children. And as much as you want to serve, and a lot of people did, I never left the United States. I did the first time, back before you were born, a thing called Desert Storm, but not this time. But it was, I was a medic, and like I said, then I got my education, became an officer, and I got to lead, but it was in tanks that time, which are big. You know what a tank is? So that was really kind of cool, because they go fast, and you can blow stuff up, and it's kind of cool.
Mr. Abdoo, do you have some advice for our scholars?
Advice.
Yeah.
As you grow up, as you go through this period in your life where you're in middle school and then you go into high school, there are no mistakes, okay? I tell my son this all the time. He's 12 years old, and sometimes he really gets down on himself because he feels like he made mistakes. I look back on middle school and high school and into college, and I made a lot of what you would term mistakes. But you can't get down on yourself, and you can't get mad at mom and dad or your aunt and uncle or whomever is helping you through this time. Or if you keep it inside and you're like, and you get really frustrated. Don't, because there are no mistakes. You learn from your experiences. If you will learn from these experiences that frustrate you, make you sad, make you not feel great. But what you need to do is focus on what it is that makes you happy. Focus on what it is that is right. So if you didn't do well in a grammar test, or you forgot to study for something and you had a pop quiz, and you think that's the end of the world and you get all upset because what's mom and dad going to think, what's my aunt and uncle, or my brother. Use that experience, okay? Yeah, that's a tough moment, but use that experience to learn from it at your level, okay? Because as you go through life, you will have setbacks, you will have frustrations, but you will get stronger, and you will become, I think, or in my case, better for it, because you will, it'll help you avoid mistakes in the future, and it'll make you a stronger person. So if you fall down, pick yourself back up, and move forward. So if you forget to study for that quiz and you don't do so awesome, study for the next one. Make up for it. If you don't do so well in a test, study, do well. Sometimes it's not fun, but the payoff is success, and you will get there. So.
Mr. Abdoo, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule from the governor's office to come see our 3rd and 4th graders here at Parthum Elementary and share your story. Just like Mr. Abdoo, you too are Laurentians. You are from Lawrence. And just like Mr. Abdoo, you can make the choices to have great success in your life, be part of the National Guard. That was great, great piece of sharing.
Stay involved with your city. It is awesome, and we have a lot to offer, a lot of cool stuff.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, buddy.